This conference will now be recorded.
And the way that we gonna learn Salesforce, all these areas. Yeah. So before we start, let me share my screen. Why am I not able to share the screen? Just give me a minute. It's not allowed. Just a minute. I think something went wrong. It's not allowing me to share the screen. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen. Can someone confirm?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
బాగా మొత్తం విషయం
Yeah. So before we start, yeah, this is Ram. I'm working in Salesforce Industries from past more than 12 years. And I'm a certified architect in different domains. Actually, I'm a domain architect. Worked in multiple features or products of Salesforce. As of now, I'm working as a lead architect in one of the well-known organizations with a team of around 42 members. Yeah, not more than that. So this is all about my working experience. Coming to training, I think it's been more than 7.5 years I've been into Salesforce trainings. Trained more than 2,000 people. I work mainly with career IT. So I've been associated with career IT for more than 5-6 years now. Yes. So this is about me. So I hope I'm eligible for training people as well with my experience. Now, so what am I gonna discuss? The first thing, industrial revolution. Uh, so I would like to make this session as interactive as possible. So first slide, I'll leave it up to you. Then I'll speak about the legacy technologies, and then from there we'll see how do we overcome to the issues that you have faced in legacy technologies to cloud computing. By the way, if you're not speaking, please go on mute. Let me see. And then we'll compare or we'll see the advantages of Salesforce versus your legacy technologies, and then other technologies in cloud computing. Then we'll discuss about the job opportunities, course content, of course, and then we'll see what all the different ways that I'm gonna cover, the features that I'm gonna cover, plus what are the job opportunities that career IT provide for the people within this batch. Okay. Anyone has any other expectations than this? Of course, the course duration and all will be covered. Right. The first one is industrial revolution. I don't want to take it much because most of you are aware of it, right? The first industrial revolution is with your steam, then with electricity, then people are thinking that we are still in computing, but actually into intelligence. What is this? Here, this is all about artificial intelligence. So till here, so let's say around 10, 20 years back, if you want to do something through a system, so you have to give a right command to them, to the system, so that it will understand, right? But these days, I can ask my Alexa to switch on the lights. I can ask my Siri to play a music for me, right? And the moment I step in, I can configure the way, my room to maintain the temperature that I'm looking for. But all these things are connected, or like it's like the devices started speaking back with us, right, in our language, right? This is what is artificial intelligence, and Salesforce is mainly focused in this. Okay, now, so before we start this application thing, can someone tell me what is an application, or why do we need a software application? Anyone?
To developing app.
Yeah, of course, but what is the need of that application? You can't use
To promote our business.
great. What else? Any other simpler example?
To more attract customers.
Okay, if you come out of the business mode, like, okay, so why do you
Marketing.
need to attract the customers? Sorry.
Some ideas, sir. Some ideas.
Okay. See, when it comes to an application, so you will have two definitions, right? One as a customer, and the other one as the person who launched that application, developed the application. So in our case, mostly it's an organization. Okay. Lavanya, can you please be on mute? Actually, I have muted you, but still again,
Okay, sir.
too much of noise is coming from your end. Yeah, thank you. So when I speak about application, right, as a customer, Ram will think, okay, this will reduce my efforts, right? This saves my time and of course money also, right? For example, a very simple example that I very often use it, right? For example, 20 years back, if you want to book a flight from Bangalore to Hyderabad, maybe basically I am based out of Bangalore. So how do our parents used to book the flights, or even trains, of course? You have to go to the station, or you have to go to the airport, even it is 30-40 kilometers away, right? You stay in a queue, get the thing sorted first, and check whether the availability is there on the right date that you're looking for. If yes, you book it and come back. So generally airports will be far away, right? So after going there, what if your parents would not got to know that the flights are not available? So it's a lot of waste. They have wasted a lot of their time and even efforts, right? Now these days, if Lavanya wants to book a flight, she'll just open. There are a lot of applications. Open the app, set the locations, check the availability, check the pricings of cars, book with any offers if they are providing. right? This makes more easier for Lavanya. For example, let's take Clear Trip or Make My Trip. So let's say these are the applications that Lavanya is using. So from Lavanya now, when I say, okay, Lavanya, why do you need this application? She'll say, Ram, this reduced a lot of time for me. Like I have to travel 40, 50 kilometers to the airport. Instead, I can sit at my home and book this. Great. The same question if I ask this Make My Trip guys or Clear Trip guys, hey, why did you develop this application? They'll say, sir, this is a revenue generation for us, right? So they'll be for every ticket they'll be getting some commission, even if they are giving you the right place. They had a connect with the airport authorities, so that every ticket, every transaction that you are making using that particular portal or even their applications, they'll be getting some commission, right? With that they'll easily survive. So this is what is their plan, right? So which means a receiver will say it's an advantage for him by looking at the time and the efforts that you have to spend before, without using that application and by using that application. The people who is producing that application, because we have a lot of applications, like you are surrounded with all apps only these days, right? So for them, it is a revenue generating. Now, receiver is fine because he is the one who is using the product. But let us go to the people who will build the product, build the application. So every application or every innovation that is there in the market now or outside now, it's all came through an idea, right? A person like Naresh who went and saw that, okay, people are standing in queues, they are coming from very far. So to book these tickets, he thought, why can't we build something so that people will start using that to build to get these tickets booked instead of standing in a queue and all. So that, let's say Lavanya is an employee who will work for 10 hours a day. In that, if we ask her to spend 3 hours or 4 hours just to book the tickets or just to get to know about the availability of tickets, she have to unnecessarily waste her time, right? Half day of her time. So instead, if I say, okay, Lavanya, just use this, it's a matter of 20, 30 seconds, then she'll be happy. So she will count it as, okay, 3 or 4 hours of time is saved, right? So that is where Naresh thought, okay, why can't I build something so that people will start using my application? Okay, so he got an idea. So he just checked with a couple of other friends or colleagues. So it was wonderful. Now people thought, okay, let us build it. Now, when we are building an application, you have two types. One is legacy and the other one is cloud. Let's say there is no cloud. Okay, we have legacy platforms. And what is legacy platforms? All the platforms that you have used around 1900s and all comes under legacy. Like it could be your Java, .NET, Oracle. Of course, those technologies are slowly migrating to cloud these days, but I'm speaking about the earlier ones. It could be Python, C, C++, everything. So most of the technologies that you have seen a few minutes back in the slides, so 50% of them are falls under legacy technologies, right? Now to set up or to build an application in those technologies, what do we need? We need to build a server first, right? We need to set up a server. Why do we need a server, Ram? Because from that server you have to host your end users, right? It's not like you connect your pen drive to an application to a system, it will run easily, right? Because it should be like the moment I'm booking a tickets, next time if Naresh or some XYZ person wants to book the same ticket, it should not be available for it. So there should be a centralized system which will maintain the actual database. That is what we call it as server. Okay. And then from there we'll host the application and even the data to the end users. And we need to install some software, right? It's not Java. I cannot just write the logics on Notepad and simply deploy, right? So I need to compile that, check the errors. So for that, you need some software. For example, if you take SAP, I'm not sure how many SAP guys are there in this call, but as far as I know, if I want to build something in SAP, first I have to install that software in my system, which easily captures around 600 GB of my hard disk. Just installation. No? To install that SAP black box, I have to allocate 600 GB just for that software. So imagine how complicated it is, right? And yep, I'm just taking a few examples, no offense. Yeah, then I have to define the user access, of course. So that will be again a difficult job, because I have to speak with some networking engineers, bring them into the system, set up the entire security. All these things has to be taken care manually. Then I will start building the application, right? So this setup itself will take minimum 6 months. That's why your seniors or super seniors, or if you have any family members who are into IT from many years, you can talk to them. Like they used to say, yeah, this month or this quarter and next quarter we'll do the setup, and from then after we'll start building the application. So you need people to set up this entire things. Now that is also to an extent okay, but here Naresh built this application using some servers. When I speak about servers, every server will have a capacity, user capacity, basic mainly. Data is okay, we can increase or decrease, but especially with user capacity. What is this user capacity? User capacity is nothing but the number of users this server can handle at any point of time. Let's say if I say that I can go up till 100 users, then it says that at any point of time it will respond only to 100 people. Now, as this is the first application in the market, what if 500 people wants to use it? Your server gets crashed or your application gets crashed. So again, Naresh has to keep on increasing the server size by replacing with either a bigger servers or using some serialized concepts in the networking. We are least bothered. Okay, so it'll keep on increasing maybe to 10,000 or 50,000 as the user base is growing up. Looking at this, there is a person called Sai. He thought like, okay, why can't we build something? Because he understood everything in that application. He thought, and he is of course a good developer, and he do have a lot of investments in his bank. He thought like, okay, let me also do it a bit better than the one that Naresh launched. He did that, and people started using Sai's application rather than Naresh's application. So what will happen? Performance wise, there won't be any issues, but ROI won't be there for Naresh, right? Return of investment, because he has invested a lot now by increasing the server size, because the price of server is pretty much high, right? And he can't even sell them back, right? You know what's the price if you want to sell it off of an electronic product, and he will have an expectation, okay, let us improvise our application a lot. So that will take a lot of time, right? This is the biggest disadvantage of your legacy platforms. What are they? Server. Second thing, even if people are not using the application, Array has to maintain the entire system. So maintenance. Security, you have seen lot many movies earlier, right? Like related to hacking. People are used to hack your US defense systems also, right? So easy to hack, because even if you build a complicated security, so there are ways, like if I get the user access, one of the person's user access, then it will be easy to hack. Then installation, it costs a lot of money, and of course time, right? Why you are stressing about the time now? Because earlier most of the organizations used to fight with each other to get the clients, right? Infosys used to fight with IBM, IBM used to fight with CTS, CTS used to fight with Deloitte. But these days, no one is fighting with each other. People are fighting with time. So everyone is looking like how in how much time or how faster I can deliver the application. The time makes more sense, because see, if I have to maintain all these resources for 12 months, there's no point. Whatever the whatever the investments that I'm getting from my client, I have to give it to these people only. What I will eat, right? That's the issue. Now there comes your cloud. So in cloud, so entire responsibilities got separated. Okay, and cloud of course has three types: infrastructure, platform, and software as a service. So if you take this legacy platforms, this is on-premise application where owner of that particular application will be the owner of the entire resources. He has to live with them, right? Each and everything has to be provided. But from what is cloud? Cloud is something like you will have a service provider where he will come and will say that, okay, if you want to build something, come and sit with us. I'll give you the space in our service. You start building your application, you host it from our server to any of your end users. Now, what's the advantage here? See, I don't want to think about networking. I don't want to think about storage. I don't want to think about servers and the virtualization, even application host. Everything will be taken care by service provider. Then what I have to think about? So for that, you have again three things: infrastructure, platform, and software. When it is in infrastructure, other things like operating system, I have to install. Like for example, application of that system. I mean, to build that application has to install in my system. And if I want to connect with any external system, like we need to integrate. So you have to get that middleware or an interface. And runtime issues, I have to handle data, I have to handle application also, I have to build, right? So half of my problem is solved, but still I do have the other half, right? Because it is like semi legacy technology, right? This is where your Amazon Web Service comes. Okay, as again the rest half has to be maintained by the resource owners or the subscribers, so it is again a bit costly. Then it got evolved into platform as a service, where 70% will be taken care by the service provider, and the rest 2%, like building an application, managing the data, will be taken care by the subscriber. This is the first step of Salesforce. So we have a platform called force.com platform, where you just have to pay some license amount to Salesforce once in a year. They'll give you a space, they'll give you the list of users, sorry, number of users which you have asked for, and you can start building your application, managing your own data, the entire structure, schema, everything. Then we have something called software as a service. So one of the best examples is GoToMeeting, right? Most of you have logged in through browser, right? So it is a software built by some XYZ person and provided to you as a service through internet. Simple, right? Or you can consider your Facebook, or you can consider your Google. All these are SaaS. Why? Because you will have a service provider who will manage everything. Okay, and you can start using them. So this is the best part of Salesforce. The moment I buy a Salesforce license, I'll be getting some market standard applications where I can start using them directly without any modifications. If, of course, my business model fits into that design. Now, someone will say, no, yeah, this is not something that I'm looking for. As you're going with a higher version, you will have a default platform where you can build your own application. Someone said like, okay, there is an application called Sales in this Salesforce. So this fits around 60%, but other 40% have to build. Salesforce will allow you to do that also. So the moment we are getting the Salesforce, they'll give us a set of applications, sales, service, marketing, campaigning, all these things. And they'll say, hey, these are the standard applications, or these are the applications built by us at the market standards. If you want to use them, you use them blindly. If not, you tweak them also. That is also okay, because that is rely with your Salesforce org, right? So there won't be any issues. Now, these are a couple of examples. So these are the different areas where Salesforce is concentrated mainly. And if you see here, so I said like there are some market standard applications, but I didn't spoke anything about any of the application. So Salesforce, the main name, if you just start dividing this, right? So Salesforce. So Salesforce is built first to boost your sales process. Okay, which means Ram, Salesforce is used only to handle customers. Earlier, yes. Okay, but now they are into multiple areas, especially with the platform. You can build anything and everything using Salesforce. I won't say anything and everything. Wherever I would say, wherever you have a data, whether it could be small chunk of data or it could be an LDV, large data volume, and if you have a well-defined process brought by the organization, and you need to process this data through this process defined by the organization to mature the data, Salesforce is one of the best solutions that is there in the market. Okay, so it's there in sales. It helps you to do the service also, like service in the sense case management. So most of the telecalls, call center applications are there. Then it helps you to do the marketing. So there is one cloud called Marketing Cloud. It's again a separate product of Salesforce where it will help you to do the right marketing. For example, especially on the especially on the email campaign. So if you remember around 8 years or 9 years back, there was a technology called Exact Target, where it helps you to target your audience. So using that, what you can do is, let us say, I have launched a product today and I want to share this to a number of users. Now what I did, I don't have enough money to go to each and every person and do it. So, but I have, let's say 1 lakh customers details. So what I'll do, I'll capture all my 1 lakh customer details and I'll shoot an email. So every day if I keep mailing them, let's say there is one person called, let's say Rajesh, who is my loyal customer. He always, whatever the product that I built, he'll come and buy. Then he'll keep saying, Ram, why do you need to send emails to unnecessary emails and all, even after I bought the product? So set something so that I will be out of it. So I know Rajesh, he spoke to me. Likewise, I will be having some other customers in that 1 lakh, right? So using Marketing Cloud, what we can do is, if I'm sending 1 lakh emails as a promotion to people, it will help me to get to know how many of them opened that email, how many of them, which means clicked on that email, how many of them considered that as junk, how many of them have deleted that, how many of them read the email by clicking on the various links that are provided. Each and every detail will be segregated. So let's say around out of 1 lakh, let's say only 70,000 people have opened that email, read the content, clicked on some links in that. Then next time when I'm promoting the same product, I'm least bothered about the other 30,000, right? Because they are not interested anyways. So then we'll concentrate on 70 so that I'll slowly filter and I'll get my right audience, right? That's what the hell that can be done using your Marketing Cloud. And of course, it's a premium product, so it comes with a special license. So it cannot be done on the free editions. Then you have e-commerce. So you have a lot of e-commerce websites in the market, right? Especially the best ones that you use in our country is Amazon, Flipkart, eBay, right? So even you can build the same applications using Salesforce, using e-commerce applications. And now if someone asks, okay, Ram, Salesforce comes only into the place where you have customers or the sales process and all. No, you can build a lot of internal applications also. Okay, within your organization. For example, your leave management system or your salary tracking system, your HR model, the organization's HR model. There are some organizations in the market where their entire HR is based on Salesforce itself. Or you can use it for banking sector, so or even financial broking sector as well. So it's being used in lot and lot of industries. For example, if you take an education industry, Stanford is using Salesforce, one of the biggest customers of Salesforce. Or if you take financial broking sector, Citigroup. I'm not just speaking about Citibank, which is there in India, but if you go to US, there is something called Citigroup, where they are into multiple areas. They are into real estate, they are into finance, they are into multiple areas in the market. So Citigroup is one of the biggest customers of Salesforce. Their 70% of transactions is mainly dependent on Salesforce itself. Like if you take oil and gas industry, British Petroleum is using it. They are one of the huge customers. Of course, Shell is using it. And Ram, is this, you are speaking always about bigger organizations. How about smaller ones? One of the smallest applications that you use very oftenly is your Redbus. It is a customer of Salesforce. Redbus uses Salesforce. And there are very small organizations that are there in the market. Even there is an organization called forgot the name, but their annual turnover itself is 10 to 15 lakhs, and it's a Doop Sticks organization. They are customers of Salesforce. How come a product which is bought by bigger organizations can be afforded by smaller organization also? Because Salesforce has n number of licenses, okay, different types of licenses. Okay, based on our requirement, we can get the respective license which is coming under our budget, and we can build the application as well, right? And that's why Salesforce says it has 360 degrees look at its customer. And this is what is the architecture of Salesforce. Okay, you might say, okay, what is this? This is just a chunk of apartments. And why you are speaking this one is my Salesforce. What is this? This is an apartment where you have some 40-50 flats, right? And let's say if Naresh bought a flat here, it doesn't mean that even if he bought a flat here, he can take his lunch here or sleep in some other's room and all, right? So he got a dedicated space where he can use it. What is an advantage of this apartment? For example, the one that I said here, like you have a lot of shared resources like power, water, or maybe the building maintenance like security, or maybe a swimming pool, a volleyball court, a golf court. All these things which are maintained by this community will come under shared resource, right? What if Naresh wants to build a swimming pool in his own house, an individual house? Then he has to invest at least 40-50 lakhs, right? But here it's pretty much easier, right? That's the same concept even Salesforce goes with. So when I buy a license, Salesforce is giving me an org, which is nothing but a small space in their server. Okay. So the legacy, when you're using any legacy platforms, you'll speak about servers. In Salesforce, we'll speak about a dedicated org. This dedicated space is called my org. And whatever I do, whatever I build, will stay within this org. It won't expose to others, and others' data also cannot be accessed by me. That's the advantage. Now, Ram, as it is based on cloud, how about the security, which is not covered by you till now? For example, from past 4 5 days, if you have, sorry, for past 4 5 years, sorry, even if I know your credentials of Gmail, I won't be able to log in, right, from my system. Why? Because these days, if you observe your Gmail or Twitter or Yahoo, whatever the social website that you take, if you are trying to access through a new device, it will ask for a verification code, correct? Which will be sent to your personal email ID. But this is there in Salesforce long back. Okay, I started my career in 2010. Then itself, it's already set up in Salesforce. And of course, hacking the data, that's too far, because to hack the data, you need to connect through some device or some tool which needs a token called security token, which will be a combination of 18-digit characters, which will be always randomly generated by Salesforce. And of course, as someone said, we do have multi-factor as well. This year, Salesforce launched and people started using it. I'll discuss more about later. Okay. Then now it's pretty much easier, right? The moment I get an idea, I don't have to think about, okay, what softwares I should bring, how many users, all these things, because I have to simply go to Salesforce, buy the license, start building the application. Ram, this is all good, but few minutes back when we are discussing, you said like if there is a change in the users, drastic number of change in the user, there will be an issue with your server or with your application. So what will happen here? Because here also the same concept server, right? So we could be facing the similar issue, right? Yes, if say this cloud computing technologies allows the users to directly access their servers, but here in cloud, what happens is they won't allow the users to access the servers directly. They will create an instance or an image of their application in the cloud, and that image will be accessed by the end users. What will happen if there is an issue? That image or that instance will be crashed, but nothing happens to your cloud. And this is what has been happened in our Indian railway system. And I think last year or last to last year, it was taken care by Infosys. They moved it to cloud. That is where earlier, when you people tried to book some tickets, right, it used to crash all the time, especially between 10 to 12, the place where you'll use the Tatkal tickets and all. So it used to crash very often. Why? Because of the capacity. Because if you go to the server, the actual capacity of Indian Railways earlier was 50 lakh users, which nowhere matches with our Indian population. Right? Even if you take 10% of the people wants to travel through trains, so it is 10 crores. So how do you match your 10 crores with 50 lakhs? No way. So that's where it went on cloud, and now it is pretty smooth. So these days, booking a ticket, train ticket is also very easier, right? At least I'm not speaking about the availability. Of course, availability cannot be virtual, but the process was very simple now. And the best advantage with Salesforce is you don't have to think about when I'm building an application, you don't have to think about, okay, whether this application works for mobile or maybe or tab, or is that used only for a laptop. By default, Salesforce supports all the end user gadgets. Okay, you don't have to bring a different separate designer who will work for this entire system. Okay, by using small configurations, we can enable this on your mobiles also. That's the best part of Salesforce. And yeah, if you see this, the approach is very clear. So earlier you have to spend lots and lots of time when you're using your legacy platform to just do a setup. But as the setup is already taken care by Salesforce, now you can build an applications in couple of days or weeks also. There are applications where the end user used to build the application because Salesforce goes always with low code or no code. And if you just go to say Google Images and search for Salesforce, you will see some images which says no software. Salesforce won't, it will never ask you to install any software. So what is that what is the advantage here now? Because, for example, the one that I took earlier, like when I want to install an application, when build something on tools like SAP, so I have to install that in my system. So which use easily captured 600 GB of my laptop. So which means I should have a laptop with capacity of at least 1 TB, right? And if I want to run a process of 600 GB, think about my RAM size. It should be minimum 16 GB, right? So SAP, let's say my organization wants to build an application. Even consider, let's say I have just 20 members in my team, right? Because unless until your organization is very much costlier, you won't go with SAP. So let's say 20 members are there, and each and every laptop is charging somewhere around now 1 lakh. So just to build the application, we have to invest 20 lakhs just to build it. But I'm not speaking about the server where I kept, where I'm gonna keep all these things. So that is comes in secondary. But when you go to Salesforce, you take a cheapest laptop that is available in the market. Make sure your internet connection is good. Rest all will be taken care. Why? Because you don't have to install anything. So which means the investments is pretty less, right? This is another reason why industries are running behind Salesforce. Whether it could be an end user or it could be a developer, only matters is the license amount. Rest all will be taken care by system itself. Okay, so I don't have to go with high configured systems. I don't have to maintain a server rooms. I don't have to maintain the people who will look after this entire service, networking, cables, all these things has gone to trash, right? As a Salesforce user or as a Salesforce developer, I will go to my browser, say open Salesforce, give my credentials, start building an application or start using an existing application. Anything is up to me. Okay. The slide is not required. Actually, I've covered this point. So he is Mr. Banyaf. He is the CEO of Salesforce who actually launched Salesforce. And he'll always keeps one word saying trust. Unless until your customer is trusting you that, okay, you won't breach your data. So he'll be with you all the time, right? And then, how many of you are using WhatsApp? Or is there anyone who is not using WhatsApp? Anyone? Out of 100, 101%, it will always be yes, right? Especially when if you know how to use your laptops, if you're attending this session, definitely you're using WhatsApp. So if you want to communicate with your friend, then we'll use WhatsApp. That's the reason, right? It's just used for a communication purpose. Now, let's say you are the world's best developer. And now if you want to communicate with your friends or someone, will you build an application or you'll use WhatsApp? I'll still go with WhatsApp, right? Even if WhatsApp says, as people are using, pay me $10 a month, still will go with it, right? Because it has created a mindset where I can connect and communicate with anyone at any point of time, right? Especially after your video calls, right? But where are we getting this WhatsApp from? From your Play Store or from your App Store, right? Play Store belongs to Google, App Store belongs to Apple, right? Play Store, I won't say it is a replication, but Play Store came after looking at App Store actually. right? First is App Store, then your Play Store, right? And do you know the App Store idea or even that App Store domain itself belongs to this world? As Steve Jobs is his close friend, he has given that domain itself to him for free. Okay, I mean, you can go back and look at this story. It's marked by New of Bliss App Store. You can see the entire story. And he came up with a new word called App Exchange, which means if I build an application, if I feel this is a worthy in the market, I can talk to Salesforce, ask them to review it, keep them in this app exchange, which is a marketplace where you can start. I mean, if someone else in the market who wants to install it, as they are already Salesforce license users, they will come and open that. If they like it, they will install and they will pay me as well, which means I don't have to get the job in Salesforce. If I have a good idea, then I can build something and I can earn money also. Like for example, the first one, Congo Composer. This is one of the beautiful feature where it allows you to convert your data into different set of PDF documents. You have DocuSign, which will help you to do an digital signatures. TalkDesk, widely used by your call center people to attend the calls. Like we can connect your Salesforce with your telephone so that by just looking at the numbers, I can easily ask the systems to call, right? Likewise, you have n number of applications, and this slide is very old, around 2-3 years old, but as it is looking good, I just kept it as is. But if you see the numbers, these numbers are also pretty much old. If I'm not wrong, these numbers got increased by 2 million here, and sorry, this number of installs got doubled for sure, because in our organization itself, we are using 500,000 of applications from past 2 years. And then here, the numbers got increased to 6K actually. Okay, this is not that much important. This speaks about the Salesforce economy. See the spike, there is nowhere the spike is going down. It's always up right from the day that it had started. And these are the list of organizations that Salesforce has acquired. And these are the standard partners of Salesforce. And the partnership varies silver, gold, platinum, all these things. And you do have a number of other partners also. And by the way, this is launched by Salesforce itself. Okay. And this slide, even if it is very simple, I think this is something better to discuss. So it launched in 2000, end of 2019. See, if you see here, right? It says by then itself, they are $17 billion company. And their expectation is by 24, 35 billion. And we are in 22 now. I think now it is 25 or $26 billion company. This was announced by one of the Oracle CEOs earlier, around 4-5 months back. Okay, so okay, Ram, these numbers are fine. Why do you ask me to look at this? Because if you see, yep, of course, most of you could be freshers, but a couple of you are from a different technology, right? And why you're learning Salesforce, or first of all, why you're looking for a change in your career? Because there are two ways, two things. One is either the technology that I'm working on got saturated in the market, which means the openings are lesser when you compare with the day that you have started your career, or there are no good salaries given, right? So that is where we will switch. But now if you see Salesforce, the technology itself is growing to an extent where I don't have to look for it. Because if my company is growing, if the technology is growing, it will create n number of jobs. And if you see from past 2 years, at least from my end, so it's been, this is my, I've completed my 12th year in Salesforce around 2-3 months back. In my 12 years, I have never seen a growth that has been there in Salesforce from past 2 years. People are getting the salaries like anything. I do know a couple of juniors of my organization who resigned very recently. So when they said like when they're leaving, I've asked them like casually like what is the package that you are getting now? Believe me, for 4 lakh for 4 years, 4 years developer, we are getting 30 lakhs per annum easily in the market. So that much hype is there in Salesforce because due to COVID, a lot of organizations stopped their projects and suddenly they have launched everything, and now there is a huge demand in Salesforce. Okay, so which means a lot of openings are there in the market, but less number of people. So this is the right time actually to join into Salesforce, right? Because even if you're an average candidate, you will be getting a very good number, which actually you are not even, you didn't even expect it. And of course, if you are talented, the numbers goes beyond that. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's just with Salesforce, but any cloud technology, if you are picking up for 10 years, you can happily survive minimum, because future is cloud all the time. And Salesforce has a lot of advantages. So people think that okay, this is something which is very complicated. Why people? That is why people are running behind. But it is very simple. Yeah. And these are the tracks that are available, like administration, consultants, app builders, developers, specialists, architects. So we will discuss about administrators and developers. These are the two things that I'm going to cover in this session. Post the session, you can go with any of these certifications. Okay, but to go with advanced admin, you should clear double admin. To go with PD2, you should clear PD1 first. So I suggest people to go concentrate on PD1 rather than looking for admin if you are especially from India, because in India market is a bit less for admins. I'm not saying that it is not there at all, but it is there. It's like 60-40. If there is any requirement, then 60% is for developers and 40% is for admins. Okay, Ram, what is the difference between admin and developer? So the definition of an admin is not the same in Salesforce is not the same way that is there in other technologies. What do you think about an admin? He is the person who will maintain the security, who is the person who will maintain the networking switches, etc., right? But in Salesforce, we don't have that, correct? We are not going with networking and all, because that is already taken care. I have paid it to someone, right? Now, what our admin will do here? So he is the person who will or who can create the applications also, who can build the applications using point and clicks, who can of course maintain the users. Now, Ram, what is the prerequisite to learn this admin? If you know how to use a Excel sheet, that is more and more than enough. That to basics, huh? Just creating a table, adding the formats, all these things, very basics. If you know what is Excel sheet, then that knowledge is more and more than enough for administration. Okay. Then Ram, why people are not using it? Because inside it there are a lot of automation rules. So unless until you look at it, you won't understand. Then you have development. Development is the place where you have to stress a bit more. Like if you are aware of Java already, it's based on object oriented programming first of all. So if you are already aware of Java, pretty good. If not, then it will be a bit tough, but if you spend an extra time of maybe 15 minutes to 20 minutes, then I think it will be more easier. Okay. And of course, you have some UI designs also. It will be good if you are aware of JavaScript. These two things are basics that is required for development. Then Ram, when you say I can build anything and everything using an admin, why do we go with developers development? Because even if you are building everything using the configurations, using point and clicks, using admin, here there are cases where end users is not happy with the logics or with the UI of admin. So there are a couple of disadvantages. So to overcome those disadvantages, we'll go with development, which means as a developer, you should know about admin clearly. Then only you will get to know the pros and cons of admin. And that is where you will be the right person to judge whether the feature can be delivered using admin or using development. Okay. So for development, admin is mandatory in Salesforce. Okay. Any questions till now? Anyone? That's great. Now, Ram, how do you cover this? How many number of sessions we need? We might need on an average of 40 sessions to cover admin and development. Okay. So 50-50, like 50% for admin and 50% for development. And what am I gonna cover? All those concepts and list will be given by the management to you, so you can have a look. And how do we gonna cover? Instead of just looking at the concepts, what are we gonna do is we will go with some standard application that is there in the market, maybe your banking sectors, or maybe your automobile industries, or maybe your what do you call your travel agencies or a real estate, anything. We'll randomly pick one of them and we will discuss what is the requirement of the business, what is the process, because that is how it works in your organization, right? So whenever you are getting a requirement in your organization, it's not like Gopi will go and sit and build the application. It is like first he will go to the business, you will set up a meeting, understand their business process, conduct a workshop to understand the entire business process. You note down all the points like pros and cons, and then you will suggest them the technology to build a POC, and then you will showcase. But as we don't have that much time, so requirement gathering and all will be taken care in the first session itself. That too at the basics with whatever the information that we need to initiate the session. Each and every session will go to the requirement and we'll see what all the different things that are there. One by one we'll start looking into Salesforce. We'll discuss about the feature and we'll see where this particular feature fits into that application, so that by end of the day or by end of the sessions you will be having a full-fledged applications in your systems itself. So you don't have to think about, okay, whether I'm going to do any project, a live project or not at the end. You will be doing it right from the day one. Okay. And the last one is I got to know that career IT also supporting people to get the jobs. So they had a connect with three organizations. So they'll help you for the interviews, I mean, arranging the interviews also. So if you learn things better, so you will be getting a job as well. Yeah. And finally, of course, you have to do a certification. I'll be giving you the vouchers for free. Basically, every certification you have to pay $200 to Salesforce. So I'll be giving you some discounted vouchers at the end of the session where you can get it. Okay. That's all from my end. So if anyone has any questions, I'll stay back. If not, let's wind it up. Anyone? Hello. Then about the practice environments. So in the next session, so I will tell you where we can get where we can do the practice. So you will be given, I will tell you where to get the Salesforce logins, all these things. These are some of the numbers that is there, but these are pretty old. This slide I should have changed. It is not required. But tomorrow we'll discuss about, when tomorrow instance in the next session, we'll discuss about getting an environment to practice, and we'll start building our applications on that environment. So, okay. So that's all from my end. Thanks everyone for joining.
Sir, so at the end of the training, there will be a certification, right? We can do the certification at the end of the training session.
Yes.
So it will be the basic administrator certification.
Yeah, we can do it. Admin certification for sure.
Okay, okay, sir. So it will be 40 days duration.
Sorry.
Training will be. The training will be 40 days duration.
On an average is 40. It might go up, it might go low, but average number is 40. Like 2-3 sessions will vary, but it won't go down for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay then. Thanks for joining, especially on your Sundays. I hope I have given at least 0.01% of knowledge in Salesforce. So please do share your feedbacks with the consultancy, and see you on Monday.
Yeah. See you on Monday.
Bye everyone.